It's the Prowler! Man, you gotta love it when the Blu-ray art inside is just nice and complimentary to the movie. What up, my fellow Deadites out there? Bobo here from BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for coming back for some more hot, fresh popcorn during a BrassReel Halloween! So today, for Thursday's Threat, we got the underrated, overlooked slasher of 1981.
The Prowler.
Directed by Joe Zito, who's better known for his direction on Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, which is my personal favorite Friday the 13th, and it's a lot of other people's too. This guy was born to direct slashers. This movie's probably in my top 5 slasher of all time, maybe top 3. I know that sounds crazy, but it is. It's just great. He's got an amazing sensibility for directing slashers, and he's a great director, which in turn makes this slasher like a AAA slasher. It's actually a good movie, and it's got all kinds of carnage candy. So The Prowler, 1981. It was originally called Rosemary's Killer, but they said that was associated too much with Rosemary's Baby, which I agree, I wouldn't have wanted to name it that either. Immediately this movie starts off with the war and sort of the origin. You sort of start getting the origin pretty much from the beginning. But it starts off back in World War II, and it's showing all these clips of the war and all these soldiers, you know, doing their thing. All that war propaganda you used to see. It's all in black and white. Then you see a girl's hand as there's narration going on from a girl writing a Dear John letter to someone. At the bottom she signs Rosemary. She's basically saying how she's leaving and she can't stick around anymore. It's longer than he said he would be gone, and she just can't bear it. She wants to live her own life, all that stuff. It's actually 1945 when this movie opens up, but right from the opening scene, which involves Rosemary writing that Dear John letter, we get a kill scene, and immediately you get the tone of what this movie's gonna be. You understand what kind of slasher it's going to be. And this came out in 1981, so the slasher mold hadn't really fully developed yet. This, I feel like, was a part of that mold. Because you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, obviously everybody knows that one. But then Black Christmas, Halloween, which is also uber famous. But then you had Friday the 13th in 1980. And so this comes out in 1981, and Joe Zito's even gone on record for saying that he was trying to make a Friday the 13th movie. Style of movie, at least. And I think it's because he wanted to get hired to make a Friday the 13th film. And when you see these movies, if you compare them back to back, he takes a lot of the plays out of the movie The Prowler and puts them straight into Friday the 13th Part 4. Like even from the kills being the same, and Tom Savini doing the effects, which is awesome. So this opening scene, this guy's making out with this girl in the gazebo. This girl, you take it, is Rosemary. She's moving on with her life. And all of a sudden you see this killer come out of nowhere dressed in this military garb, and he's got a bayonet or bayonet. And when I say military garb, I mean like trench military BDUs. He's got the face covering and everything. But his weapon of choice is this bayonet and a pitchfork. Bayonet I get, but the pitchfork was kind of interesting. But I mean, hey, what a way to go. And right off in that first scene, you get an awesome shish kebab scene with the pitchfork, and it's very effective. One of my biggest complaints about Friday the 13th Part 2, because Tom Savini did the effects for Part 1, which are great. Part 2, you can see all kinds of cheap tricks that they're doing, and sometimes you can see the trick being played, and if you see that, it ruins the shot. It ruins the effect. Kind of like when you know how magic tricks being done, it's over. You know, it's like not impressive anymore. But the kills in this one are excellent, and they're brutal too, and they don't like pan away from it either. I mean, you get to see it, and they show it multiple times over again. But it's not gimmicky at all. It's not going by any tropes. If anything, the tropes really hadn't been set yet, but it takes itself seriously. It's scary. The final girl is really good in it too. She's not stupid, she's not dumb, she's doing logical things, she's making logical decisions, she's thinking logically. So it makes you like her in it. Tries to be a really gritty, scary slasher, and it succeeds. But the cop, who's kind of like her love interest, he's real too. He's logical the whole time. He acts like a cop would behave. Not like a lot of other cops behave in stupid slashers further down the line, which I still love those too. But you're quickly shifted to the 80s decade after that opening scene. It's all taking place in the 80s after that. And what's really cool is this is all like in a college type setting. It's not in high school or anything. So she's helping get this dance together with a bunch of other friends. There's some dorms on campus, but it's all in a very small town. And as you would suspect, people start getting killed. But man, I love the kill scenes. They're all excellent. One of the scenes that's really awesome in it that actually kind of plays a major part in the movie is a shower kill scene, which is, man, it's brutal. And it's extremely similar to the shower kill scene in Friday the 13th Part 4. And if you've seen Friday the 13th Part 4 and not seen this movie, while you're watching this, you'll be like, oh, I can see the similarities. But he does sort of a role reversal, whereas in this one, a girl gets killed in the shower, and in Friday the 13th, a guy gets killed in the shower. But both of them are equally as brutal, and there's something about somebody getting killed like in the shower or in water. It just always freaks me out. Or when people have no clothes on and they get killed, like stabbed with no shirt or anything on, it just always freaks me out. There's just something about it. It's just, I guess the idea of a space or an area or an activity that's supposed to be very comfortable, cozy, and then just being completely vulnerable with no clothes on and then just getting mutilated. That's always just affected me a lot in films, and it still does today. But man, that scene in the shower in this is awesome. And not just because it's a shower scene, it's brutal. All the kills in this are brutal. I mean, they're all top tier kills. The great Tom Savini. But the whole way through, the directing is really good. Like the way they do things when somebody's in another room, they'll film from another room. Or the way that he uses a Steadicam following people. A lot of people weren't doing that back then, except for people like Stanley Kubrick. Joe Zito was a good director. He had a horror career a little bit, but I don't think he finally found his footing like he should have. I think Hollywood should have grabbed onto him. But I've also heard that he was kind of hard to work with too. I don't know that for a fact. This movie really was a calling card for Joe Zito to do a Friday the 13th film. I mean, when I say the kills are the same, there's even another kill where a lady's in the water, and it reminds me of a kill scene at the beginning of Friday the 13th Part 4. It's like a head decapitation / turning. It's just where you get to see the knife like actually grinding into the neck. It's crazy. And frickin' well done. Savini. He's the master, we all know that. And one of the reasons the kills are so good in this movie is because a lot of time when they're getting close-ups on the kills, like the head or anything like that, where the practical effects are being played, Tom Savini's actually the guy in the costume of the killer. So he'll be the hands that you see holding the weapons, killing people, or holding their heads, doing whatever to them. And I really do feel like that's half the reason the effects worked. He did the same thing in Friday the 13th, operated all the effects. Not only do you get awesome stabbing and decapitation and slicing scenes in this, but you also get a head explosion scene that's glorious. Like I said, as they're at this dance, people are getting picked off one by one, mostly women, because it looks like the old Prowler got rejected by Rosemary. And I have to bring up, when they're at this dance, the cop that walks up, which by the way, the cop in this looks like it could be like Eric Roberts or something. And that hair is amazing. When he shows back up at the dance to go see the girl that you think that he's dating, he sees this other girl right before she's about to get slaughtered. And she like reels him in on the dance floor, and he just starts dancing like he can't help it. And he starts cutting the rug, throwing down, and then he starts looking at her like, oh, I'm sorry. It's just funny to me that like he just got reeled in, couldn't help himself. Cop, on the job. Time to bust a rug. Sometimes you just can't help it. Police force, we're here to protect and cut a rug. But yeah, the girl he's dancing with decides to go take a swim in the pool, and man, just a brutal kill scene there again, in water, and when she's got no clothes on. God, that just gets to me for some reason. It's scary. But everybody gets warned at the dance, and there's a prowler outside on the loose, and they're told to stay inside. Don't go outside because there's a prowler. Small town. Well, the Eric Roberts lookalike cop and her go around and they start trying to figure things out because they obviously realize something's happening. And they find one of their dead friends in a burial site in a grave. Apparently this killer now is digging up grave sites, burying people in them, and tampering with the tombstones. He's a little cuckoo. But they start putting some pieces together, and again, the origin is good in this, and so there's something that actually connects. It's just not some mindless killer killing people for no reason, and the killer's real. The killer's stoppable. It's not like some unstoppable rebel force like Jason, Michael, or Freddy, which I love that stuff too. But this one, like, you can take it seriously. You're not really asking a bunch of questions. Oh, come on, why didn't you do that? Why didn't they do this? And you're not griping and yelling at the final girl all the time because she's not doing things stupid. She's cool. And the third act is definitely a classic slasher third act. They're in this big house and the killer's chasing her around and she's hiding left and right. And there's at one point a room full of this like furniture that's old, covered by sheets, that creates for a cool little setting, lots of tension. I'm not gonna give away the ending or anything else away about the movie because this is one that a lot of people don't know about. And if you haven't seen this movie, I do want you to see it, and I want you to be surprised, and I want you to have a good time watching it. I don't want you to just know everything about it. A lot of these movies, I go through every bit of them because most of the time they're so popular you've seen them. This one's not one of those ones. This is one of those ones that's a Thursday threat, flies under the radar. So hopefully I gave you a new one to check out. But I think it's a fantastic slasher. Like I said, one of my favorites, in my top 5. Checks all the boxes. Small town prowler, good final girl, lots of jump scenes that are real scare scenes. Couple of fake jump scares, but most of them are real scares. Got a great origin for the killer that you can understand and believe. And the kills are awesome by Tom Savini. And more than anything, it's a good movie. It's well directed and very well made, especially for 1981. It holds up like a champ. And there's a really good stinger at the end too that you don't see coming. Even me telling you now, you still don't see it coming. It's good. So the Prowler, we're slashing popcorns in half. Excellent slasher, a must watch for a slasher fan, and buy it if you can find it, because this bad boy's not easy to find on Blu-ray. But I did find it at a Fry's Electronics around here. It was like the only one there. If you do find it, it's got a cool little behind the scenes featurette with Tom Savini doing all the gore effects in this movie. And it's a true like B-roll, like somebody's filming it with some regular camera behind the scenes. It's pretty cool. Well guys, that's gonna do it for this episode of a BrassReel Halloween. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for Halloween 3. Oh yeah, it's gonna be the season of the witch. Look for BrassReel Brothers on Facebook. Look for Bobby Williams on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, BrassReel Bobby at BrassReel. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button so you can help us get famous. And as always, if life gives you lemons, make some hot, fresh popcorns.